In this question, it says the radar screen in the air traffic control tower at the Edmonton International Airport shows that two airplanes are at the same altitude. According to the rangefinder, one airplane is 100 kilometers away in the direction of north 60 degrees east, and the other plane is 160 kilometers away in the direction of south 50 degrees east. How far apart are the two airplanes to the nearest tenth of a kilometer? Now, most people look at this question and word problems in general, and they don't like it. Some might say it'd be easier to do if there's a diagram. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to make a diagram for this. When I read this, there's a few things that I see. 100 kilometers away in the direction of north 60 degrees east, that's one airplane. The other airplane is 160 kilometers away in the direction of south 50 degrees east. Now, one thing that people might have difficulty with this question is the directions are given in a way that maybe you're not familiar with. So I'll go over that. The other thing that's in this question is that the two airplanes are at the same altitude. Now, what that does is it takes out another part of the question to make it easier. If they're at the same altitude, then it's like a two-dimensional question. We don't have to worry about one being high and one being low, and it just we can almost ignore that. Now we need to draw it. So the blue plane, 100 kilometers away in a direction of north 60 degrees east, I'm going to draw that like this. So I'm going to start north because it says north and then 60 degrees east. Now I'm going to rotate to the east 60 degrees. Now I don't have a protractor on me, and I don't need one because all I'm doing is approximating at this point. So this right here is 60 degrees, and the length of the blue line is 100 kilometers. Now if I go to my red line, it should look like this. So I'm starting south, and I rotate 50 degrees to the east. Now, one important thing about this one is I know it's longer. It's 160 kilometers instead of 100 kilometers. So I'm going to add a little length to it to do that. This right here is 50 degrees south, 50 degrees east. Now I think I got a little bit creative on my next diagram. We have two airplanes. One's 100 kilometers away and one's 160 kilometers away. So now it's looking more and more like a triangle. Now the pictures of the planes are definitely not necessary, so I'm going to drop them. And we're going to go back to this basic diagram. We need to know what this angle is in between these two. Now the angle up here will be 30 degrees because that's what's left between the blue line and east. This angle will be 40 degrees because that's what's left between the red line and east. So 30 plus 40 is 70 degrees. So that means this whole angle is 70 degrees. Now we also need a line connecting our two because we're asked how far apart are the planes. So what we're trying to find is that black distance. Now to label it a little bit more, we could call this plane A and this plane B, and we can call this the tower. We know that this distance is 100 kilometers, and we know that this distance is 160 kilometers. So if we simplify everything that we know, we have a simple triangle that looks like this. We have one side equal 100 kilometers, another side equal to 160 kilometers, and the angle between the two equals 70 degrees. And we know that we can find the side across from angle T by using the law of cosines. Now that we have the diagram, it's easy to solve for x, which is how far apart are the two planes. We just say x squared equals 100 squared plus 160 squared minus 2 times 100 times 160 times the cosine of 70. And when you do the math, you'll get 24,655, and that's what x squared equals. And we need to find out what the square root of that is to find out what x equals. And I got 157.0 kilometers because it asked to the nearest tenth of a kilometer.